The children knew her only as Maria, the quiet woman who gave free tennis lessons every day. No one knew she was a world champion until that day when a mother filmed with her phone. The internet went crazy. Welcome to the Human Stories. Before we dive into this incredible story of second chances and hidden redemption, tell me in the comments which city you're watching from today. And if you believe everyone deserves a chance to rebuild their legacy, hit that subscribe button. This story will change how you think about fall and rise again. Maria Sharapova's world collapsed on March 7, 2016. Not from an injury, not from age, but from a single announcement that would define the end of her legendary career. The meldonium positive test, 15-month suspension, headlines that screamed, "Cheat," across every sports magazine in the world. For someone who had spent 20 years building her reputation, 5 Grand Slam titles, 36 WTA victories, former world #1, the fall was devastating. But it wasn't just the tennis that hurt. It was watching her legacy crumble in real time, seeing young fans tear down her posters, witnessing endorsement deals vanish overnight. After her return and subsequent retirement in 2020, Maria disappeared from public life. No interviews, no appearances, no social media presence. The world moved on, and Maria Sharapova became a footnote in tennis history, talented but tainted. But disappearing from the spotlight didn't mean disappearing from purpose. In the spring of 2023, Maria found herself driving through East Oakland, California. She wasn't looking for anything specific, just driving to clear her head after another difficult day of trying to rebuild her business ventures. That's when she saw it. A rundown public tennis court behind a community center, its nets torn, its surface cracked, but still somehow alive with the sound of children playing. She stopped the car and watched. About a dozen kids, ages 7 to 15, were hitting balls with rackets that had seen better days. Their form was raw, unpolished, but their enthusiasm was infectious. They were playing with pure joy, something Maria realized she'd forgotten during her professional years. One little girl caught her attention. Maybe 8 years old, with determined eyes and a serve that showed natural talent despite her makeshift equipment. She reminded Maria of herself at that age, hungry, passionate, unaware that the world would ever try to break her spirit. Maria sat in her car for an hour, just watching. When she finally drove away, she couldn't stop thinking about those children. 3 days later, she was back. "Excuse me," Maria said, approaching the community center director, a kind woman named Janet Rodriguez. "I was wondering if you needed any volunteer tennis coaches." Janet looked at this well-dressed woman with the slight accent and raised an eyebrow. "Do you have coaching experience?" "Some," Maria replied, choosing her words carefully. "I played competitively for a while. That was the beginning." Maria didn't lie about her background, but she didn't volunteer information either. She became simply Maria, the volunteer coach who showed up every Tuesday and Thursday afternoon to work with the kids. She bought new equipment with her own money, rackets sized appropriately for small hands, fresh tennis balls, a net repair kit. When Janet asked how she could afford it, Maria just said she wanted to help. The children embraced her immediately. To them, she wasn't a fallen champion or a disgraced athlete. She was just Maria, the patient woman who taught them how to hold a racket properly, how to move their feet, how to find joy in every shot. What the children didn't know was that they were receiving coaching from one of the most technically gifted players in tennis history. Maria's eye for detail, her understanding of biomechanics, her ability to break down complex movements into simple concepts. All of it came naturally after decades at the highest level. 8-year-old Emma Martinez was her star pupil, the girl whose natural talent had first caught Maria's attention. Emma's family couldn't afford private lessons, but under Maria's guidance, her game transformed week by week. "Miss Maria," Emma asked one day after practice, "were you really good when you played tennis?" Maria smiled, tying Emma's shoes as the girl sat on the bench. "I was okay," she said, "but what matters is how good you can become." 12-year-old Marcus Johnson, who lived with his grandmother because his parents worked 3 jobs between them, started winning junior tournaments for the first time in his life. His grandmother would thank Maria with tears in her eyes, not knowing she was thanking a former world champion. 15-year-old Sophia Chen, who'd been told by other coaches that she was too small to ever be competitive, suddenly found herself with scholarship offers to tennis academies. When she asked Maria how to choose, Maria spent hours helping her evaluate options, using knowledge gained from her own journey through the professional tennis world. None of the children knew. None of the parents suspected. Maria was just the volunteer coach who cared more than anyone expected. 6 months into her volunteer coaching, Maria had found something she'd lost during her professional career: pure happiness. She woke up excited for practice days, fell asleep thinking about how to help each child improve. For the first time since her suspension, she felt like herself again. That's when Lisa Martinez, Emma's mother, decided to film a short video. It was supposed to be a simple thank you post for the community center's social media page. Lisa wanted to show appreciation for the volunteer coach who had transformed her daughter's confidence and skill level. "This amazing woman, Maria, volunteers her time twice a week to teach our kids tennis," Lisa said into her phone camera. "Emma has improved so much, and it's all because of her patience and expertise." The camera panned to show Maria working with a group of children, her back to the lens. She was demonstrating a backhand, her form still textbook perfect, even in casual clothes. Her voice carried across the court. "Remember, it's not about power, it's about timing, placement, and believing in yourself." Lisa posted the 30-second video to the community center's Facebook page, expecting maybe a few dozen likes from local families. By the next morning, it had 50,000 views. "Mom, that's Maria Sharapova." The comment appeared within hours of Laza's video going live, posted by a tennis fan who'd recognized the distinctive coaching style and movement patterns. Soon, the comments section exploded. "Oh my God, that's definitely Maria Sharapova. 5-time Grand Slam champion coaching kids for free. She's been hiding in Oakland this whole time. This is the most beautiful thing I've seen all year." The video was shared thousands of times across social media platforms. Tennis websites picked it up. Sports journalists started investigating. Within 48 hours, news vans were parked outside the East Oakland Community Center. Maria arrived for her regular Thursday practice to find a crowd of reporters, cameras, and curious onlookers surrounding the tennis court. She almost turned around and left. The old instinct to hide, to protect herself from public scrutiny, was still strong. But then she saw her kids, Emma, Marcus, Sophia, and the others, standing confused in the middle of the chaos, looking around for their coach. Maria took a deep breath and walked through the crowd. "Miss Maria." Emma ran up to her, oblivious to the cameras. "There are all these people here asking about you. They said you're famous. Are you famous?" Maria knelt down to Emma's eye level, aware that dozens of cameras were recording every word. "Yes, sweetheart. I used to play tennis professionally. I was pretty good at it." "Like really good?" Marcus asked, joining the conversation. "I won some big tournaments," Maria said simply. "Were you number 1 in the world?" Sophia asked, her teenage brisson starting to put pieces together. Maria nodded. For a while, yes. The questions from the children were innocent, full of wonder rather than judgment. It was the media questions that came later that proved more challenging. Maria, why didn't you tell anyone who you were? Are you doing this for publicity after your suspension? What's your message to young athletes about your doping scandal? Maria answered with grace and honesty. I'm here because these children reminded me why I fell in love with tennis in the first place. It's not about rankings or prize money, or even winning. It's about the joy of playing, the satisfaction of improvement, and the relationships you build along the way. The media attention was intense but brief. After a week, the reporters moved on to other stories. The community center returned to normal, though donations poured in from around the world as people were inspired by Maria's story. But the real story wasn't the revelation or the media circus. It was what happened afterward. Maria continued coaching, not because cameras were watching, but because she'd found her purpose. The children still called her Miss Maria, though now they understood they were learning from one of the greatest players in tennis history. Emma's game continued to improve, and she eventually earned a scholarship to a prestigious tennis academy, something that would have been impossible without the foundation Maria had given her. Marcus developed into a nationally ranked junior player, his grandmother crying with pride at every tournament. Sophia not only earned her scholarship, but became an advocate for making tennis more accessible to underprivileged children. You know what the best part is? Maria told a reporter 6 months later, during a rare interview. I won 5 Grand Slams in my career, but I've probably helped create 50 future champions here. The math is pretty clear on which accomplishment matters more. Chapter 9. The Legacy Rebuilt. 2 years after the viral video, Maria had quietly built something more meaningful than any trophy. A pathway for children who loved tennis but lacked opportunity. She'd used her connections and resources to create scholarship programs, equipment donations, and coaching development initiatives. The East Oakland Community Center tennis program became a model copied by facilities across the country. Maria spoke at conferences about the importance of giving back, about finding purpose beyond personal achievement. But she never stopped being just Maria to her original group of kids. Miss Maria, Emma asked one day, now 10 and ranked in the top 20 nationally in her age group, do you ever miss being famous? Maria smiled, watching Emma practice the backhand technique they'd worked on for 2 years. Emma, I'm more famous now than I ever was before, but this time it's for the right reasons. Conclusion. Maria Sharapova's story isn't really about tennis. It's about the difference between legacy and impact. Legacy is what people remember about what you accomplished. Impact is what you do for others while nobody's watching. For years, Maria thought her legacy was destroyed by one mistake, one scandal, one period of bad judgment. But in a rundown tennis court in East Oakland, working with children who had never heard of her victories or failures, she discovered that redemption isn't about rebuilding your reputation. It's about rebuilding your purpose. The children who knew her as just Maria taught her something that 20 years of professional tennis couldn't. That the greatest victories are the ones that happen in someone else's life, because you chose to show up and help. She'd spent her career chasing championships, rankings, and recognition, but in the end, her greatest achievement was being the coach that a dozen children trusted, loved, and learned from. Not because she was Maria Sharapova, the champion, but because she was Maria, the woman who cared enough to help them believe in themselves. Sometimes the fall isn't the end of the story. Sometimes it's the beginning of the chapter that matters most. Have you ever found purpose in an unexpected place? Have you ever discovered that your greatest strength wasn't what you thought it was? Share your story in the comments below. And if this story inspired you, subscribe for more narratives about second chances, hidden heroes, and the power of choosing impact over recognition. Because the best comebacks aren't always the ones that make headlines. Sometimes they're the ones that change lives, one person at a time.